Hello and welcome to the Environment This Week series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be covering topics which are important from General Studies paper 3, that is environment and ecology. So what we have done is we have taken most important news of the last 1 week, and then we have taken the news from the current affairs, and then we will be talking about the static portion of it. So let's begin. First of all, about the topics of the week, that is Gandamardhan Hill Range in Odisha. What is the concept of greenwashing? Then new tiger reserve of India, and then decline in the number of shark population. So these are the top 4 news of the week. Before we begin, Drishti IAS Mukherjee Nagar classes has now moved to Noida. So the new UPSC hub is now Noida, and the first Hindi medium batch in Noida offline classes is beginning from 9th of December and the timing is 3 p.m. while the English medium batch is beginning from 12th of December and the timing is 6 p.m. If you are moving by the metro, then the nearest metro station is Noida Sector 15 and the exact address is C171/2 Block A Sector 15 Noida. If you have any query, give us a call at 9311 406 440. And if you want to know about the exact location, then the link is provided in the description box. And also if you want to hear a call or you want to receive a call from Drishti, then link is provided in the description box. Fill out the form and Drishti will get back to you. And keeping in mind your 2025 prelims and mains preparation, Drishti IAS has come up with a new program, and the name of the program is Sambhav 2025 for covering both prelims and mains. So under this you will be getting 10 prelims MCQs on daily basis, 2 mains practice question on daily basis. So your prelims and mains answer writing both are done. Then in-depth analysis of the previous year question, you will be getting the coverage of general studies and current affairs. Then all the aspirants who have taken part in this ranking also, every aspirant will get its own ranking. Now moving on to the news, the first topic that we will be talking about is the Gandamardhan Hill Range of Odisha. So the news is that the Odisha government has clarified that it will not allow bauxite mining in the Gandamardhan Hills of Odisha. So first of all, the Gandamardhan Hills are situated in which state of India? Answer is Odisha. About the geographical features, then the Gandamardhan Hill is situated in the western part of Odisha. So if we will go by the map, this is the map of India, then the location of Odisha. Odisha is on the eastern ghats. Then in the map of Odisha, this is the location of Gandamardhan Hills. So you can say this is western Odisha, and this is how the Gandamardhan Hills looks like. See this red line which I am drawing, this is the Gandamardhan Hill range. Clear? Fine. It is located in the western part of Odisha and it covers an area of around 190 square kilometers, and it consists of dense forest and hill slopes. Because it is in itself is hills, so hills are basically composed of a lot of forest. Then the minerals and the mines which are found in the Gandamardhan Hill range, so that is, first is bauxite. Now what bauxite is? Bauxite is the primary ore of aluminium. Second mineral is graphite. It is used in the industrial applications. Third is manganese, important for steel manufacturing. You need to remember bauxite is an ore of aluminium, graphite is industrial applications, manganese is used in steel manufacturing. Then comes that the Gandamardhan Hill has been declared as the biodiversity heritage site by the Odisha government in the year 2023. So if any site has been regarded as the biodiversity heritage site, it means that this particular location is very important for that state. Then this particular location has some economic value, social value, cultural value. Then a lot of heritage is associated with this site, and also this site is of ecological importance to the state. Then ecologically fragile ecosystem is rich in flora and fauna diversity and has been protected under the Odisha Biodiversity Rules 2012. So under the Odisha Biodiversity Rules also it has been given protection. Now about the significance of the Gandhamardhan Hills, then it is a diverse socio-economic, ecological and biological significance for the people of Odisha. So it has a socio-economic, ecological and biological significance. Ecological and biological significance reason can be because it consists of a very rich flora and fauna, and also it has a very high medicinal value. That is why a lot of communities which resides in this range are very much dependent for their livelihood on the Gandhamardhan Hills. Then it consists of medicinal plants, and the hill system is popularly considered as the Ayurvedic paradise of Odisha. Ayurvedic paradise of Odisha. Then hills have two historical monuments. So the Gandhamardhan Hills basically has two historical monuments, and they are major pilgrimage sites of Odisha, and these two sites are, first is the Harishankar temple. This is situated on the southern side, while the next is Nrusingnath temple. Nrusingnath temple, and it is located on the northern slope. So if this is the hill range, first is located on the northern slope and other one is located on the southern side. So extreme ends both the temples are located. So this was the about the Gandhamardhan hill range. Next comes the topic of green washing. As the word itself is telling, green washing. So green means something related to the environment. Now it is in news because the Central Consumer Protection Authority, that is the CCPA, Central Consumer Protection and Authority. So it has released guidelines to regulate greenwashing and misleading environmental claims. So guidelines are set, that certain guidelines have been given that needs to be followed, so that the concept of greenwashing or the concept of greenwashing cannot overpower the minds of the people. Now question is, what is greenwashing actually? So greenwashing refers to any deceptive or misleading practice. Deceptive or misleading practice, so these two are negative terms. So greenwashing in itself is a concept. Do not go by just its name, because then you might get it wrong, because greenwashing is a misleading practice. It means what the person or the organization is doing, they are not telling you about, or they are not telling you exactly that what they are doing. In some way or the other, they are trying to hide the true nature of the concept or true nature of the thing which they are performing, and they are decepting you by showing something else. So this is what is also being followed in greenwashing, because greenwashing is a deceptive or a misleading practice, and it involves exaggeration, omission or false environmental claims. Now what happens is, under the concept of greenwashing, what a company does is that the company will show that they are making products which are 100% environmental friendly. They are making products in which they have not harmed the environment, or the carbon emission has not taken place, or they are 100% recyclable, etc. Many of the things the company will show it to you, that whatever or the product which has been made, it is in good regards with the environment. But that is not the case actually. But the case is exact opposite, that the company, that they have caused harm to the environment, the product is not 100% recyclable. So these kind of things or these kind of practices has been regarded as deceptive or misleading, not telling you the exact scenario. So the use of misleading symbols, imaginary language that highlights positive environmental aspects while concealing harmful ones. So the harmful aspects are hidden, while the good or positive aspects are highlighted by the organization or the company. One of the famous examples is the Volkswagen scandal that took place. So the Volkswagen scandal, Volkswagen is a German car manufacturer, and it was discovered to have manipulated emissions. So the emissions which, the carbon emissions which they were doing for, in the case of the production, they were not showing the exact numbers or the counts. So they were discovered to have manipulated the emission test for its allegedly eco-friendly diesel vehicles, which constituted an instance of greenwashing. That even though they were causing a lot of harm or the carbon emission was taking place, but they showed that this was not happening. Then about few of the points of the guidelines that has been given by the CCPA. So few of the guidelines are that the target manufacturers, service providers, traders, ad agencies and the endorsers, they require them to substantiate environmental claims. So whatever environmental claims that they have, they need to show that environmental claim to the customers. Then they need to support their environmental claims with independent studies, third-party certifications or reliable scientific evidence. So scientific evidence need to be shown, third-party certifications, independent studies, all these things also the company or the organization need to show or need to make visible to its customers. Then violating these guidelines may face penalties for misleading advertising and unfair trade practices under consumer protection laws. So consumer protection laws can come into the picture. Then the claims must specify which part of the product, like for example packaging or manufacturing, is eco-friendly and must be accessible via QR code, URL or clear advertisements. It means that whatever the company is saying, that if it is 100% recyclable or the product has not caused any kind of carbon emissions or it is environment friendly practices have been followed while making it, then the company also needs to make substantiate examples, and that can be done in the form of QR code, so that the customer can check the QR code and can check about the TNCs and whatever the company has followed. So these are few of the guidelines that the organization or the company needs to provide or needs to follow while performing the concept of greenwashing. Now about greenwashing, that these can be misleading labels, environmental imageries, hidden trade-offs, lesser of two evils or irrelevant claims. All these things are done by the companies. Now the global initiatives to combat greenwashing which has been taken till now. So that is UNFCCC COP27 declaration. So this declaration talks about that the zero tolerance for greenwashing and urging corporations to amend their practices. So the UN secretary also talked about that tolerance for greenwashing is not acceptable. Then the EU green bond targets, the European Union green bond targets, it talked about that the European Union approved new standards to combat greenwashing, because that is the only way to promote transparency with customers. Then European green bond label. So it requires 85% of funds to be directed toward sustainable activities supporting climate neutrality goals. So around 85%. So out of 100%, around 85% of the funds needs to be directed to these practices. Now about the types of greenwashing. So greenwashing is also of different types. So few of the examples are, first is green hushing. So that is companies underreport or hide sustainable credentials to avoid scrutiny. So underreporting is done. Then green rinsing, when a company regularly changing its ESG, that is environmental social governance targets before achieving them. So when the company is on a regular basis changing its target because the company is not being able to meet the targets. Then green labeling, the labeling of an essentially unsustainable product as green or sustainable. Unsustainable product labeling must be done. Then green lighting, the highlighting of a particularly green feature of a business, product or activities to draw attention away from the environmentally harmful actions. So green lighting can also be done. Then green shifting, this is also one of the types. When companies reduce the climate crisis to consumer behavior and shift responsibility to individuals. So the organization can also shift responsibility towards the individual or on the individual. It means shifting of responsibility from one to another. Then the third topic is the Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary has been regarded as a new tiger reserve in India, and in total India now has 57 tiger reserves. So India has recently got the 57th tiger reserve, and that is the Ratapani Tiger Reserve, which is situated in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So about the tiger reserves, so tiger reserves is an designated area which was established under the Project Tiger, and the Project Tiger was started in the year 1973 with the aim of protecting or conserving the tiger population, and also to increase the tiger population in the coming times, because at the time of India's independence and after that period the tiger population was on a decline. So a need was felt that some steps needs to be taken so that the tiger population can be maintained. Then protect the tiger population, maintain biodiversity and restore ecological balance, because the tigers is a flagship species, keystone species and also a umbrella species. So they are the representative of their ecosystem. Then the large tracts of land with a core and buffer area. So the tiger reserve is a bigger land. You can imagine the tiger reserve is a bigger land, and under the tiger reserve there are different type of areas, like the centermost area is the core area. After that they have the buffer area. So core area is the area where the national parks or the wildlife sanctuaries are situated, while the buffer area is a area which is considered to be a transition area between the forest and the non-forest land. Then about the tiger reserve, so India in total has 57 tiger reserves now, and India is also a country which consists of more than 70% of the world's tiger population, and Project Tiger was started in the year 1973 to conserve the population of tigers. And tiger reserves in India are spread across 82,000 square kilometers, and they account for over 2.3% of India's geographical area. So out of the complete geographical area, the 2.3% of the total geographical area is what the tiger reserves consists of, or what the tiger reserves covers. Then April 1, 1973, Project Tiger was officially launched at the Corbett Tiger Reserve in Uttarakhand. Then about the tiger reserve creation. So how the tiger reserve are created? So it is basically the state government which starts the process of identifying a tiger reserve. So the state government identify the tiger reserve, and then the state government send the proposal to the NTCA, which is the National Tiger Conservation Authority. And when the National Tiger Conservation Authority looks into the different aspects, that this particular area has the proper climate, or you can say proper weather, proper prey population, proper tiger population is also there, and looking at all the aspects, NTCA then transfers the proposal to the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And when the Environment, Forest and Climate Change looks into the aspect, then again the final decision or the final notification is given by the state government. So the final notification is given by the state government under section 38(5) of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So then after that it comes under the Project Tiger initiative. So overall the identification of the tiger reserve is done by state government, then from state government to NTCA, NTCA to Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Then the ultimate notification is given by the state government, and after that when the final notification is done by the state government, then the tiger reserve is included under the Project Tiger initiative. Now the last topic is, and that is the 50% decline is observed in the shark population. So according to a new study, it has been said that the world's shark and rays have declined by more than 50% since the time of 1970. So 1970, since that time, around 50% decline in the population of rays and sharks have taken place, and few of the reasons for this decline has been observed as overfishing, habitat degradation, climate change and pollution. Now pollution, when we talk about, then marine pollution now so much remains in news because the specifically within the marine pollution, the plastic pollution and also the oil spills are the incidents which create a major problem for the sharks and also for the rays or other marine animals or mammals. So even recently in the Busan, South Korea, the plastic treaty has failed. So this is about pollution. Then comes the climate change. Now because of the climate change, the ocean temperature is also rising and the animals which are not used to staying in such high temperature are facing problem. And then the problem is also that because of the climate change, because of the rising temperature, glaciers are also melting at a faster pace, and if the glaciers are melting at a faster pace, it means that the sea level rise is taking place, and if the sea level rise is taking place with increasing temperature, it will create problem for the marine animals, because these animals now will also have to adapt to a new temperature, and they have been living in the same temperature since a very long period of time, and now they have to make a shift to or adapt to newer conditions. Then overfishing and habitat degradation. Now habitat degradation is also because of pollution, climate change, and also that the so much of, you can say, the waste is taking place. So their natural habitat is getting degraded, and also the natural habitat is also getting polluted. Now decline is observed in, so what are the other water bodies where the decline in the number of shark is observed? So that is rivers, estuaries, coastal waters, open ocean and deep sea. So these are the different aspects or the different water ecosystem under which or in which the decline has also been observed. Now about the lack of large species. So apart from sharks, what are the other species in which the decline in their number has been observed? So that is large species such as sawfish, rhino rays, eagle rays, angel sharks. They are the first to become extinct. So before shark, these are the animals which have already become extinct. Then fisheries eventually targeted deep water sharks and skates for liver oil and meat. So these are also few of the points for which the sharks were hunted upon. But the major reason has been overfishing, pollution, climate change and habitat degradation. So this was about the 4 news that we talked about. We talked about decline in the number of shark population, then we talked about greenwashing, we talked about Ratapani Tiger Reserve, and we talked about in the starting about the Gandhamardhan Hill Range. Now coming to the practice questions, and like always, you people will give me the answer in the comment section. So how are you going to do it? I'm going to ask you 4 questions. So type 1, 2, 3 and 4 and type the answer in front of the question number. So let's move forward. The first question for you is, in which state of India is the Gandhamardhan Hills situated? So that is Odisha, Bihar, West Bengal or Andhra Pradesh. Second question, which one of the following best describes the term green washing? First, conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Second, non-inclusion of ecological environmental cost in the annual financial statement of a country. Third, ignoring the disastrous ecological consequences while undertaking infrastructure development. Or fourth, making mandatory provisions for environmental costs in a government project or program. So this is the second question. Now third question, the Ratapani Tiger Reserve is situated in which state of India? Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat or Haryana. Now moving to the last question, that is the main reason for the decline in shark and ray population since 1970. Climate change, pollution, overfishing or habitat destruction. So in place of the habitat destruction, type all the above. So that is climate change, pollution, overfishing or all of the above. So these are the four questions. So give me the answer in the comment section, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.